The night my daughter begged me to stop giving her aunt the pills, I almost told her to stop being silly. Almost. If you're hearing my voice right now, don't scroll away. What I'm about to tell you is the reason I still wake up breathing. Listen till the end, and if it makes your heart beat faster, stay with this channel. Stories like mine might be the warning someone you love needs. That night started like any other weekday. The kitchen smelled like garlic and onions, the TV in the living room hummed with some old cereal, and rain tapped lazily against the balcony railing. I was stirring dal on the gas stove when my daughter Ria slid into the room in her school uniform socks, almost skidding on the tiles. "Mama," she said, breathless, "don't give Aunt the pill tonight." I thought I'd misheard. I turned, the ladle still in my hand. At the dining table, my younger sister Nisha, Aunt Nishu to Ria, sat with a shawl around her shoulders, staring at her plate. Her skin looked too pale. Her eyes had that yellowish film fatigue gives you when it's been there too long. From the sofa, my husband Samir lowered the volume on the TV and glanced over. "What?" I asked, forcing a small laugh. "Ria, what are you talking about?" She stepped closer, fingers twisting the end of her school tie. "Please, Mama," she whispered, eyes filling. "Don't give it to her. Not tonight. Please." The orange medicine bottle sat on the kitchen shelf, familiar and ordinary. I picked it up almost automatically, the way I had done every evening at 8 for the past 10 months. One small white pill into my palm, glass of water, a kiss on my sister's head. Routine. "Ria, this is Aunt's heart medicine," I said gently. "You know the doctor said she must never skip it. It keeps her safe." "She's getting worse," Ria blurted, her voice shaking. "Every day she takes it, she gets worse. You can see it, Mama. Yesterday, she almost fell down in the bathroom. She vomited so much. She was crying. Please don't give it to her." My hand tightened around the bottle. I looked at Nisha. She didn't meet my eyes. She stared at her hands instead, fingers picking at the edge of her shawl. "It's just side effects," she muttered. "Maya said it's normal at the beginning of a new dose." Maya, my best friend since college, pharmacist, owner of the little chemist shop on the corner, the woman who had personally ordered these pills when Nisha's heart condition had flared up again after our parents died, the woman I had trusted more than most of my own family. "Maya knows what she's doing," Samir said from the sofa, sounding slightly irritated now. "Ria, enough. Don't scare your aunt." Ria turned to him, but her eyes came back to me as if the answer had already been decided in my hands. "I heard her on the phone last night," Ria whispered. "Aunt was talking to someone. She said, 'These pills are killing me. Please, I don't want to take them anymore.' She said that, Mama, I swear." Nisha flinched. My heart skipped. "Is that true?" I asked, my voice too calm. She gave a small, embarrassed laugh. "I was just being dramatic. You know how I get. I was tired and nauseous. I called Maya and cried. She told me not to be silly, that without the pills, my heart will give up completely. I was just scared." "See?" Samir said. "All in the head. Ria, apologize to Aunt, then go wash your hands." But my daughter's hand darted out and grabbed my wrist, pressing the pill bottle into my skin. "Mama, I dreamt she died," Ria whispered, panic spilling into her voice. "On the floor, with that bottle in her hand. I woke up and I felt it here." She pressed her little fist to her chest. "Please skip just one. We can give it tomorrow, just one night, for me." She had dreamt before, like kids do. Monsters, falling, exams. But I had never seen fear like this on her face. Not irritation, not stubbornness, raw fear. Samir sighed loudly, folding his arms. "You're encouraging her imagination," he muttered. "That's the problem. One missed dose can be dangerous, Kavya. The doctor said so." "The doctor said a lot of things," I answered softly, my eyes never leaving my daughter's. "But he didn't say we can't use our brains." I closed the bottle. I didn't know why I did it. Maybe it was the tremor in Ria's voice. Maybe it was the way Nisha stayed quiet instead of defending the medicine. Maybe it was just that I had been watching my sister fade for 10 months, and my own heart was tired of pretending it was all just side effects. "Tonight we skip," I said more firmly. "If it worries you so much, We'll call the doctor tomorrow and ask him again. One pill won't kill her. I realized as soon as I said it how strange those words sounded. One pill won't kill her. Rhea let out a shuddering breath and stepped back. Samir stared at me, surprise flashing across his face, quickly covered with annoyance. Fine, he said tightly. Do what you want, but when her numbers are bad on the next checkup, don't say I didn't warn you. He picked up the remote again and turned back to the TV with more force than necessary. I walked to the table and sat next to Nisha. You okay? I asked. She nodded, eyes wet. I don't want to scare Rhea, she whispered, but sometimes when I swallow it, I feel like something cold is crawling inside my chest. I feel like my heart is drowning. My skin prickled. How long have you felt that? I asked. A few weeks, she admitted, wiping her nose. But Maya said it's the disease progressing, that if we don't push through now, it'll get worse later. She said the pills are strong because they have to be stronger than what's killing me. My throat tightened. What if what's killing you is not your heart? I asked quietly. She blinked at me. I forced a smile. Forget it. You're tired. Eat something. We'll call Dr. Sen tomorrow. That night, Nisha went to bed early. Rhea insisted on sleeping beside her, her small body curled up against her aunt's back like a shield. Samir went to the balcony to smoke, even though he knew I hated it. The glow of his cigarette tip moved in the dark like a tiny, burning eye. I sat alone at the dining table, my fingers tracing the printed text on the pill bottle. Licinidine 10, the label read, once daily, prescribed by Dr. R. Senator, dispensed by Maya Care Pharmacy. Everything looked official. Batch number, manufacturing date, a little logo of a heart with a cross in the middle. I told myself I was being paranoid. Maya had been with me since I was 19. We had eaten cheap hostel food together, shared clothes, laughed over silly crushes, cried over our first real heartbreaks. She was the one who convinced me to marry Samir when I was scared of leaving my widowed mother alone. She was Rhea's unofficial godmother. She was Nisha's favorite person after me. And Samir? Yes, he had become distant in the last 2 years. Yes, the failed business and the debt had changed him. But he loved our daughter. He bought my favorite sweets without reason. He drove across the city to pick up my mother from the hospital when I couldn't. Love can be ugly under pressure, I told myself, but not murderous. I tried to sleep that night and failed. Around 1 a.m, I heard it. The soft, gagging sound from the bathroom. I slid out of bed and padded down the hallway. The bathroom door was slightly ajar. Inside, Nisha knelt on the floor, her body heaving over the toilet. Rhea sat by the wall, face white, tears streaming silently. Nishu, I whispered, pushing the door fully open. Why didn't you call me? She wiped her mouth with the back of her hand, eyes bloodshot. Didn't want to bother you, she croaked. Probably just something I ate. She flinched when I touched her shoulder. Her skin was clammy. I helped her up and pressed the back of my hand to her forehead. She felt hot, but not fever hot, more like overheated engine hot. Did you take anything? I asked. She shook her head. You're sure? I pressed. Her eyes flickered for a second. Maya gave me a sample of a new digestive pill, she admitted. She said it would help with the nausea. I took half. I closed my eyes for a beat. From now on, you don't take anything without telling me first, I said. She nodded weakly, leaning into me. I tucked her back into bed and pulled Rhea with me to my room for the rest of the night. Rhea clung to my arm, fingers digging into my skin. I told you, she whispered in the dark. The pills are bad. I can smell them, Mama. They smell like that cupboard in the hospital where they keep the cleaning stuff. I knew what she meant. The sharp, bitter chemical smell. It might just be your imagination, I murmured, though my stomach had begun to twist. It's not, she said softly. When Aunt opens her bottle, the air feels wrong. Out of the mouths of children. The next morning, while Samir was in the shower, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror and stared at my own face. I looked older than 37. Lines etched around my mouth, dark circles under my eyes. But my gaze was steady. I picked up my phone and dialed the hospital. Hello, Dr. Sen's clinic, I said. This is Nisha's sister, Kavya. I have a question about her medication. Can I bring her prescription bottle for a quick check? The receptionist hesitated. Doctor is very busy today, ma'am. Only emergencies. It is an emergency, I said, surprised at the firmness in my voice. Her symptoms are getting worse. Please, I just need someone to look at this. After a moment, she relented. Come in at noon, she said. We'll see what we can do. I hung up and slid the pill bottle into my handbag. Where are you going? Samir asked later, towel around his neck, hair damp. To the market, I lied smoothly. We're out of vegetables, and I want to pass by the school to sign a form for Ria's class trip. He nodded, distracted, scrolling through his phone. Bring some eggs, he said. Maya called this morning. She said the new batch of medicine is ready. I'll pick it up in the evening. Something cold slid down my spine. You're going there? I asked lightly. He looked up. Yeah, why? Nothing, I said quickly. Just tell her I said hi. He smiled. You can tell her yourself on Sunday. She's coming over for dinner. I forced a smile back and walked out of the house with my heart pounding against my ribs. At the hospital, Dr. Sen was in surgery, but the junior doctor took one look at Nisha's file and the bottle and called in the in-house pharmacologist. They spoke in front of me, thinking their low voices would hide the meaning. This brand? The pharmacologist murmured. Never heard of it. Are you sure this is from us? The prescription is mine, Dr. Sen said when he joined us, wiping his hands, his face tight. But I didn't write this brand name. I wrote a generic. The pharmacy chooses the brand. He turned to me. Where did you get this filled? He asked. Maya Care Pharmacy, I replied, my mouth dry. My friend owns it. He exchanged a quick glance with the pharmacologist. We're going to run a test, he said gently. Just a quick one. It might be nothing, but I want to be sure. Wait here. I sat in the small consultation room, hands clasped so tightly my knuckles were white. Nothing could be wrong, I told myself. There were regulations, inspections. My best friend had a degree, a license. She couldn't be playing games with medicine. 10 minutes later, the pharmacologist came back, his expression grave. He closed the door behind him. What is it? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He set the open pill bottle on the table between us as if it were something dangerous. These are not standard heart medication, he said carefully. We crushed one and did a quick analysis. There are traces of a compound that could act as a cardiotoxin in long-term, low doses. It stresses the heart, damages the liver, causes fatigue, nausea, dizziness. Over months, it can cause failure. It is not listed in any approved therapeutic formula. My ears began to ring. I don't understand, I stammered. Are you saying my sister has been taking poison? In simple terms, yes, he replied. Someone has manipulated this medication, either at the manufacturing level or at the dispensing level. The brand on this label doesn't exist in the National Registry. The drug code is fake. This is not a simple mistake. Dr. Sen came in then, his face pale with anger. I never prescribed this specific brand, he said. I wrote for a standard regulated drug. If your pharmacy changed it to some unregistered brand, that's criminal negligence at best, deliberate harm at worst. Deliberate harm. The room seemed to tilt. My first thought was, this cannot be. My second was, who did this? My third was, Maya would never. Would she? Dr. Sen's voice cut through the fog in my head. Stop giving her these immediately, he said. Bring your sister here today. We'll admit her, do a full workup, and start detox. We also need to report this to the drug authority and the police. Police. I nodded numbly. How long? I whispered. How long could she have been taking this? He glanced at the file. You said 10 months, with increasing weakness? Since after our parents died, I managed. She had a fainting spell. You told us she had early signs of cardiomyopathy. We were scared. Maya offered to handle all the refills, said she would coordinate with you. His jaw clenched. I've never spoken to your pharmacist, he said. Not once. Somewhere inside me, something small and fragile broke. On the way out of the hospital, my legs felt like they belonged to someone else. I sat in the car in the parking lot, gripping the steering wheel, breathing in sharp, uneven bursts. The bottle lay on the passenger seat like a coiled snake. Someone had put poison in my sister's medicine. Someone who knew her condition, who had access to her prescription. Someone I trusted. Someone who knew we would never suspect. Samir. Maya. Their names moved through my mind like dark clouds. I thought of the insurance agent who had come to our house 6 months ago, smiling too much. The way Samir had called it just a formality. The way he had gently scolded me when I hesitated to sign. "Do you want Rhea to suffer if something happens to us?" he'd asked. "We're not getting any younger. With Nisha's condition, we have to think long term. It's just being responsible." Responsible. When I reached home, my hands were still shaking. Nisha was curled up on the sofa, half asleep, a blanket around her shoulders. Rhea sat at her feet, drawing little hearts on her aunt's hand with a pen. Samir wasn't home yet. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice to sound normal. "Nishu," I said softly, "I saw Dr. Sen." Her eyes opened, hopeful and afraid at once. "What did he say?" "That we're changing your medicine," I replied. "Immediately. No more pills from that bottle." She frowned. "But Maya—" "We'll talk about Maya later," I cut in gently. "For now, trust me, okay? You don't take anything I don't give you." She searched my face for a long moment. Somewhere in her, the part that had been scared enough to hire a private investigator months ago recognized something. She nodded slowly. "Okay," she whispered. That afternoon, when Rhea went to her friend's house to study and Nisha dozed off, I went into our bedroom and pulled out the metal box where we kept important documents. Samir always said I was the organized one, that he didn't have the patience for paperwork. I found our insurance file under a stack of old electricity bills. I sat cross-legged on the floor and opened it. The first document was our joint term plan. If he died, I got money. If I died, he did. Typical. The second was new. I hadn't looked at it closely before. Life insurance for Nishirma. Sum assured, $5 million. Beneficiary, Samir Sharma. Not me, not her. Her brother-in-law. My husband. The signature at the bottom was supposed to be Nisha's. It looked like a bad imitation of her looping, messy scrawl. My chest tightened as I traced the stiff, mechanical letters. Someone had copied her signature off an old form and put it on this document. My eyes moved down to the date. It was signed 2 weeks after her first fainting spell. 2 weeks after Maya had told us, "Don't worry, I'll take care of all the medicines. I see heart patients all the time." My hands trembled. I flipped to the next page. Rider, double payout in the event of accidental or non-natural death. The words blurred as tears filled my eyes. Poison wasn't natural. Non-natural death, I whispered. There was another document, my own updated policy, a fresh signature from me scribbled in a rush while Rhea had been tugging at my dupatta that day, asking for juice. I had signed where Samir had pointed. The beneficiary was him. That hadn't alarmed me. We were husband and wife. What alarmed me now was the extra page stapled behind it. It was an application for an additional rider that I hadn't noticed before. Coverage: violent crime, accidental death, mysterious circumstances. Additional amount: substantial. Beneficiary: Samir Sharma. At the bottom, there was a blank line. Name: Kavya Sharma. Signature: empty. But there was a sticky note in the insurance agent's handwriting. "Need your wife's sign here to finalize," it said. "We can do it next visit." I stared at the empty line until my vision doubled. He had been planning to get my signature on that page, or forge it like he had forged Nisha's. I flipped through the file with numb fingers. There were email printouts, too. Samir asking the agent if death by complications of pre-existing condition would still be covered. the agent assuring him it would, as long as no criminal intent was proven. I put the papers down on the bed and pressed my palms into my eyes. Samir wasn't the man who had held my hand in the rain when we were 24, telling me everything would be okay. He wasn't the man who had stayed awake all night when Ria was born, afraid to take his eyes off her. Somewhere along the way, under the weight of debt and disappointment, the man I loved had taken a step into darkness, and he had taken my best friend with him. I needed proof, not just papers, evidence that would hold in court. I wiped my face, took a deep breath, and picked up my phone. My first instinct was to call Maya, to scream at her, to demand explanations. Instead, I did something else. I dialed Ria's tuition teacher and told her Ria would be late. Then I put on my sandals and walked out of the house, heart pounding. I didn't go to the tuition class. I went to a small electronics shop near the bus stand. "Madam?" the man behind the counter asked, looking up from his magazine. I pointed to a row of tiny cameras in the glass display. They looked like toys, buttons, pens, USB chargers. "Do these work?" I asked. He nodded. "Of course. They record to SD card, very clear. You can hide them anywhere." "Are they legal?" I asked. He smiled, a little too knowingly. "Depends what you do with them. For catching maids stealing, husbands cheating, kids lying, people use them every day." I swallowed. "I'll take 3, I said. When I returned home, Nisha was awake, sipping tea. She looked slightly better, or maybe I was just seeing her differently, knowing the pills in the bottle were no longer medicine. I kissed her forehead, told I would make something light for dinner, and slipped into the study. The cameras took less than an hour to set up. One inside the decorative clock in the living room, facing the kitchen shelf where the orange bottle sat. One on the bookshelf in the study, facing the desk where Samir kept his laptop and our files. One disguised as a USB charger near the dining table, where most serious conversations happened. That night, when Samir came home, he brought a new pill bottle with him. "Fresh stock," he said, placing it on the shelf. "Maya said this batch is even better, more refined, fewer side effects." I forced my face to stay relaxed. "Good," I said. "Poor Nisha is exhausted. If this helps her feel better?" "It will," he said quickly. "We just have to be strict with the timing. No more missed doses, okay?" "Of course," I replied. I didn't open the new bottle. When he went to shower, I took both the old and the new into the study, swapped the contents for harmless multivitamins I'd bought that afternoon, and put the poisoned pills into a Ziploc bag. I hid them inside a container of rice in the back of the pantry. My hands shook the whole time, but my mind felt strangely clear. If Nisha got better on the vitamins, it would be one more proof. If Samir and Maya noticed the change, their reaction would be another. The next 3 days, Nisha's improvement was slow but undeniable. She still tired easily, but her vomiting stopped. The dizzy spells lessened. The dark circles under her eyes softened. "Maybe the medicine finally settled in my system," she said hopefully. I smiled and nodded, unable to tell her that what was settling was the absence of poison. Samir watched her like someone who had invested money in a stock and couldn't understand why it was suddenly rising instead of crashing. "Your cheeks look less sunken," he remarked casually on the 3rd day. "Good sign, right?" I asked, my tone light. He hesitated. "Yeah," he said finally. "Good." I pretended to miss the flicker of worry in his eyes. Every night, after everyone went to sleep, I sat in the study with my headphones on and watched the footage from the hidden cameras. It was like watching a movie I never wanted to be in. On the 2nd night, the camera in the living room caught Samir standing by the kitchen shelf, staring at the bottle. He took it down, opened it, poured a pill into his hand, sniffed it. His mouth tightened. He picked up his phone and dialed a number. My heart jumped when I saw the name on the screen. Maya. The recording didn't catch the other side of the call, but I could hear his voice clearly. "The pills look different," he said. "Did the supplier change something?" "No, I'm not imagining it," he said, irritation creeping in. "I've been giving them to her every day for months. I know what they look like, what they smell like." He listened, pacing. "Kavya gave them," he said. "She swears she didn't go anywhere else. She doesn't know about the supplier. She's too..." soft to question anything. But Nisha looks better. That wasn't supposed to happen, was it? He listened again. His next words made my stomach flip. Then we need to move faster, he said in a low voice. I'm not waiting another 6 months. The loan guys are already calling. The policy is active. You said you have a backup plan. Use it. Backup plan. Policy. You. He wasn't even saying names now. He didn't need to. On the third night, the camera clocked a new visitor. At about 12:30, when the house was quiet, the front door opened silently. Maya slipped in. She wore a black hoodie over her usual jeans, her hair in a messy bun, no makeup. She moved confidently, like she knew every squeaky tile. She went straight to the kitchen shelf, took down the bottle, opened it, poured a pill into her hand. She frowned. Her lips moved. I turned the volume up. These aren't mine, she hissed softly. What did you do, Kavya? She pulled out her phone and dialed. Why do I have to be the one who checks? Because you live here, genius. If you start sniffing around the medicine like a bloodhound, she'll notice. I'm the pharmacist. I have an excuse. She listened. No, she snapped. They're not the same. Color is off. Smell is off. I think she switched them. Maybe she took them to that hospital of hers. Maybe she asked that old doctor too many questions. I told you she's not as stupid as you think. My nails dug into my palms as I watched my best friend of 18 years stand in my kitchen at midnight and talk about me like I was an obstacle. There was a pause. She laughed, short and humorless. Relax, she said. We still have the weekend. She thinks the trip is a romantic surprise. You drive, he drinks, the steering fails on a curve, bang. Everyone cries, the widower cashes in, the business debts vanish, we move somewhere nice. It's simple. Cleaner than this slow poisoning nonsense. And we don't have to worry about the sister anymore either. There it was. The shape under the bed revealed. Trip. Steering. Sister. We. She listened again, rolled her eyes. Of course I love you, she said impatiently. But I love not being broke more. Stop wasting time on your guilt and stick to the plan. And make sure Nisha doesn't get admitted anywhere before Sunday. Tell them you can't afford it. Cry. You're good at that. My vision blurred with tears. My throat burned. I watched her put the bottle back, wipe the counter with a tissue, and walk out of my house as if she hadn't just discussed my death like a shopping list. I replayed the recording 3 times, needing to hear every word, every tone. By the end, my hands no longer shook. They were steady, cold. A small mistake had already saved one life. Ria's refusal to let Nisha take a pill that night. I had a feeling another mistake was about to put me in direct danger. I wasn't going to wait for it to surprise me. The next morning, I woke up before dawn. I watched Samir sleep, his mouth slightly open, his hand flung over his head. The man I had once seen as my protector now looked like a stranger lying in my bed. An old part of me wanted to shake him, demand an explanation, ask him how he could. But another part, the part that had watched hidden videos of him plotting my sister's death and my own, knew better. You don't confront a hunter when you're unarmed in his forest. You learn his roots, his habits, and then you set traps of your own. Around 10, when Ria was at school and Nisha was napping, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Then something told me to pick up. Hello? I said cautiously. Mrs. Kavya Sharma? A male voice asked. Deep, calm. Yes, who is this? My name is Arjun, he said. I'm a private investigator. Your sister hired me 6 months ago. She asked me to watch your husband and your friend. She said she felt like she was being killed slowly. My legs gave way. I sat down hard on the edge of the bed. What? I whispered. We've been gathering evidence, he continued. At first, it looked like negligence. Then, it looked like greed. Now, it looks like attempted murder. I've been waiting for the right time to talk to you. Then I saw footage of you at Dr. Sen's hospital yesterday asking about the pills. I knew you had stepped into the story. How do you know that? I asked, my heart pounding. Have you been following me too? I've been following everyone, he said simply. That's my job. I also know about the planned weekend trip, the drive, the hired drunk driver near the dam road, the loose steering bolts. The room spun. I gripped the bedsheet. "What do you want?" I whispered. "To keep you alive," he answered, "and to make sure they don't get away with this. But I can't do it without you. If you're ready to hear everything, meet me at the cafe opposite Maya's pharmacy in 1 hour. Don't tell anyone. Not your husband, not your friend, not even your sister yet. Come alone." Fear moved through me like ice. "Why should I trust you?" I asked. "You shouldn't," he said. "You should trust what you've already seen. The forged signature, the fake pills, the videos you recorded. You're not crazy, Mrs. Sharma. You're just late to a game they started months ago. I'm offering you a way to stop it before Sunday." He hung up. For a moment, I sat there, the phone pressed to my ear, listening to the dead line. Then I stood up. I told Nisha I needed to buy some groceries and would bring Ria home afterward. I walked out into the bright morning sun, feeling like I was stepping into a different world. The cafe opposite Maya's pharmacy was half empty. Young couples hunched over laptops, an old man reading a newspaper, a waitress wiping a table. A man in a gray shirt sat in the corner, back to the wall, facing the door. He raised his eyes when I walked in. They were sharp, tired, watchful. He didn't look like a hero or a villain. He looked like someone who had seen too much. "Arjun?" I asked, my voice low. He nodded. "Kavya," he said, gesturing to the seat across from him. "Thank you for coming." I sat down, hands in my lap. He slid a folder across the table. "Look," he said. Inside were photographs. Samir and Maya together at a restaurant, not sitting on opposite sides like friends, but next to each other, his hand on her knee under the table. Samir handing an envelope to a man near a warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The caption underneath in neat handwriting: "Payment to Javed. Known history. Drunk driving, assault, debt." Close-ups of our car's steering assembly, bolts clearly loosened. Screenshots of bank transfers from Maya's account to a manufacturer with no official registration. A blurry clip from a traffic camera showing Samir and Maya leaving a cheap motel together. Each image stabbed like a needle. I closed the folder carefully, as if the pictures might cut me if I moved too fast. "How long have you known?" I asked, my voice hollow. "That they were sleeping together? 2 months," he said. "That they were planning something worse? Maybe 8 months. Your sister came to me when her symptoms started getting worse instead of better. She felt something was wrong but couldn't prove it. I followed the pills, then the money, then the meetings." "Why didn't you come to me earlier?" I whispered. "Because you loved them," he said bluntly. "Love makes people do stupid things. I needed you to have your own questions. Otherwise, you'd run to them with whatever I showed you." He tapped the folder. "Now you've seen enough on your own. You know about the pills. You've checked the insurance. You've heard at least one of their conversations. That means you're less likely to betray yourself trying to protect them." His words hurt because they were true. "What's the plan?" I asked after a moment. "You said drunk driver, dam road, loose bolts." He nodded. "They hired Javed to stage an accident on the highway, Sunday night around 11. Fog is common there that time of year. He'll pretend to be drunk, swerve into your lane near a curve, hit your car just as the steering fails. With the way they've loosened the assembly, one sharp turn will send you into the barrier, maybe over it. It'll look messy, tragic. The poor husband, the grieving friend, the sick sister left behind. Double payouts for both policies." "Sick sister left behind," I repeated, a bitter taste in my mouth. They wanted her dead, too. "They're impatient," he said. "Poison is slow. Car crashes are fast. You confront them, they panic, they improvise. This time, they wanted a cleaner outcome. 1 trip, 2 deaths, 3 policies. 3. Nisha's, mine, and his. How do you know the exact timing? I asked. He smiled faintly. Maya's not as clever as she thinks, he said. She left her old phone at the shop one day. I cloned it. Also, Javed has a habit of bragging when he drinks. He's been talking about a big job all week. So what do we do? Cancel the trip? Pretend I'm sick? Call the police right now? He shook his head. If you cancel, they'll find another way, he said. Something harder to foresee. Gas leak, fire, mugging. And without catching them in the act, it becomes your word against theirs. They'll say you're hysterical, that grief and stress made you imagine things. He leaned forward, eyes locking with mine. We use the trip, he said. We turn their trap into ours. Fear fluttered in my chest. You want me to get in that car knowing they plan to kill me? I asked. I want you to get in that car knowing we'll be on that road first, he replied. Me and a team of officers who already believe there's a case. We'll sabotage their sabotage. We'll expose the drunk driver. We'll record everything. And we'll pull you out before anything can touch you. What if you fail? I asked. His jaw tightened. I don't plan to fail, he said. I've been waiting for people like this to slip up in front of witnesses for a long time. But yes, there's risk. Staying in your house with a man who loosens your steering bolts and a friend who sneaks in at night with poison is a risk too. At least on the highway, we'll be looking directly at them. I sat back, breathing hard. Images flashed through my mind. The barrier, the drop, Ria's small body in the back seat, Nisha in a hospital bed slowly fading. Ria, I said suddenly, my daughter. I can't risk her. I won't put her in that car. You're not, he said. That's the first condition. You send her to your mother's for the weekend. Say she has a school project, a dance practice, anything. They'll complain, but they won't fight too hard if they think the trip is still happening. They want your body in that car, not your child's. I swallowed. And Nisha? I asked. She's getting admitted today anyway, he said. We'll move her to a different facility under police protection. Quietly. No one visits her without clearance. The poison is out of her system in a few weeks. We build a full medical report. That becomes part of the evidence. My heart thudded against my ribs. It all sounded like a movie, a real-life, low-budget thriller with no guarantee of a happy ending. Do we tell her? I asked. Later, he said. Right now, she'll fall apart. She's still scared of you getting hurt. We need you calm, not trying to comfort everyone while you're walking into a trap. He must have seen the fear in my eyes because his voice softened. You're angry, he said. You're scared. Good. Use it. They counted on you being blind, on you loving them more than you loved yourself. That's how people like them operate. But you're awake now. Don't go back to sleep. Something inside me straightened. For months, I had been a spectator in my own home, watching my family crumble. Now, finally, I had a chance to write how this story ended. All right, I said quietly. Tell me everything we need to do. The days leading up to the trip were some of the longest of my life. On the outside, I played my part. I joked with Samir about how long it had been since we went on a proper couple trip. I asked him about the resort he'd booked near the dam, what the rooms looked like, whether there was a pool. I asked Maya over the phone if she thought I should buy a new dress. You don't need a new dress to be pushed off a cliff, she laughed, then quickly changed it to, I mean, to sit on a balcony with a view. I laughed along with her, chewing my lip until it almost bled. I sent Ria to my mother's house on Friday afternoon with an overnight bag and 1,000 warnings. Listen, I told my mother, forcing my voice to stay light. Take care of her for 2 days, okay? We're just going for some fresh air. I'll bring her chocolate when we come back. Ria clung to me at the door. Can't I come? Please, Mama. I'll be good. Next time, I said, kneeling down to her level. This time, it's for grown-ups. You and Nishu can come when she's stronger. Her eyes searched my face. Are you scared? She asked suddenly. I froze. Why would I be scared? I asked. Because your eyes look like Aunt's did when she said she doesn't like the pills, she whispered. My vision blurred. I pulled her into a tight hug, breathing in the smell of her hair, trying to memorize it. If you feel scared there, close your eyes and call my name in your heart, she murmured into my shoulder. I'll call yours here, okay? We'll meet in the middle. I swallowed my sob. Okay, I whispered. And when I come back, we'll make pancakes, the thick ones you like. She nodded, though I wasn't sure she believed me. I wasn't sure I believed myself. At the hospital, Nisha was moved to a secure ward under a false name. She looked at me with confused suspicion as the nurses wheeled her in. Why all this security, she asked. It's just a heart issue. It's protocol, the doctor lied smoothly. We had a drug problem with one of our suppliers. We're being extra cautious with certain patients. Her gaze flicked to me. Is this about Maya? She whispered when we were alone. You're acting strange. I'll tell you everything when I come back, I promised. For now, trust me. Don't take anything anyone gives you without asking the doctor first. And no one visits you except me, the nurses, and him. I nodded at Arjun, who slipped in wearing a visitor's pass. She frowned. Insurance investigator, I said quickly. Routine stuff. Don't worry. Her hand gripped mine. You're lying, she murmured. You only lie when you're trying to protect me. Don't die while you're doing it, okay? The worst part of having people who know you deeply is that they see through you even when you're trying to be strong. I won't, I said, though my throat burned. I have Rhea. I have you. I'm more useful alive. When I reached home, Samir had already loaded the bags into the car. He looked almost excited. Ready, madam? He asked, grinning. Our first proper vacation in ages. Just you and me. No kid climbing into bed in the middle of the night. Romantic, I said, managing a smile. Let's go before the traffic gets bad. The sun was already sinking when we left the city. As we merged onto the highway, the lights grew sparse. The road stretched ahead, lined with dark trees. The air felt different out here, thinner, colder. Samir played old songs on the radio, occasionally glancing at me, his hand resting lightly on the steering wheel. If you fall asleep, I'll wake you when we get to the dam, he said. The view at night is beautiful. Beautiful. Deadly. My phone buzzed in my bag. I glanced at it. A message from an unknown number. We're behind you. 2 cars back. Stay calm. Arjun. I exhaled slowly. Everything okay? Samir asked, eyes flicking to me. Yeah, I said. Mom is sending pictures of Rhea eating too much chocolate. He chuckled. Let her. She deserves it. The absurdity of that line almost made me laugh out loud. We drove in silence for a while. The highway curved gently, then more sharply as we approached the hills. In the distance, faint lights shimmered where the dam stood like a dark giant across the valley. The dhaba appeared up ahead, a shack with flickering lights, a few trucks parked outside, music blaring. A man staggered out of the doorway, bottle in hand, shouting something at the driver of a truck. Even from that distance, I saw the scar on his cheek. Javed. He pretended to trip, laughed, clapped someone on the back, got into an old white hatchback, and pulled onto the road ahead of us, weaving slightly. My heart rate spiked. My palms grew slick with sweat. Drunk idiot, Samir muttered. We'll pass him on the straight stretch. Don't, I said sharply. There's a curve up ahead. Just stay behind him. It's safer. He looked at me, a strange light in his eyes. Since when are you the expert on driving? He asked lightly. Since my life started depending on it, I said, my voice flat. He laughed, but there was a tightness around his mouth. The curve approached. I pressed my bare feet harder into the car mat as if I could brake with my body. The barrier on the side of the road glinted in the headlights. Far below, darkness. Javed's car drifted slightly toward the center, then corrected. Just enough to seem drunk. Just enough to be plausible when he later cried in court about his addiction. Now, Samir murmured under his breath, his fingers tightening on the wheel. Something in me snapped. I grabbed his arm. "Stop the car," I said. He jerked, startled. "What are you doing?" "Stop the car," I repeated louder. He frowned, annoyed. "Kavya, don't be stupid. We're on a curve." "Exactly," I snapped. "If you don't stop, I will pull the handbrake myself." His gaze flicked from the road to me for half a second. That was when it happened. The steering wheel shook. The car wobbled. The loosened bolts finally responded to stress, the front wheels skidding closer to the edge of the lane. My stomach dropped as the barrier loomed too close. Javed's car swerved as if on cue, drifting toward our lane. Headlights flared in the rearview mirror. A horn blared, loud and sharp. In that split second where everything hung in balance, a motorcycle shot past us on the left, engine roaring. The rider slammed his hand hard against the side of our car, shouting something I couldn't hear. The shock snapped Samir's focus back to the road. He jerked the wheel, overcorrected. The car fishtailed, tires squealing. "Ah!" I screamed. Javed's car swerved wildly, clipped by a dark sedan that had come out of nowhere with its lights off, then on full beam. The sedan spun sideways, blocking the road. Brakes screeched. Our car skidded, bumped hard against the barrier, and came to a shuddering stop inches from the drop. For a second, all I could hear was my own heartbeat thundering in my ears. Then, chaos erupted. Red and blue lights flashed, cutting through the night. Doors slammed. Voices shouted, "Police! Hands where we can see them!" Samir sat frozen, his hands locked on the wheel. I unbuckled my seatbelt with shaking fingers and turned to him. His face was white. What is this?" he whispered. "It's the sound of a plan failing," I said quietly. Our driver's door jerked open. The senior inspector leaned in, his expression hard. "Samir Sharma?" he asked. Samir blinked, sweat beading on his forehead. "Yes," he said faintly. "You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, and insurance fraud," the inspector said. "Step out of the vehicle. Slowly." Samir gaped at him. "What? No. There's a mistake. We just almost died. That drunk—" "The drunk you paid to hit your car?" the inspector cut in, jerking his head toward Javed, who was being pinned to the ground by 2 officers, screaming about how he'd been set up. "This is insane," Samir snarled, his fear turning to anger. "Kavya, tell them. Tell them we're just going on holiday. Say something." I stepped out of the car and faced him. The wind whipped at my hair. The dam lights glowed in the distance like an audience. "Which part should I explain?" I asked, my voice steady now. "The forged signature on my sister's policy? The fake pills Maya sold us? The loosened bolts on this car? The messages where you both discussed cleaner options? Or the part where you decided I was worth more dead than alive?" His mouth opened and closed. The inspector held up a small recording device. "We have it all," he said. "Thanks to Mrs. Sharma and a very dedicated investigator. Audio of you and Maya planning this accident. Bank records, pharmacy orders, lab reports. You might want to save your breath for court." Samir's gaze flicked past me then to where Arjun stood by the motorcycle, helmet under his arm. Recognition and hatred flashed across his face. "You," he spat. "You've been following me, digging through my life like a worm." "Like a doctor digs through infection," Arjun replied mildly. "You brought the worms yourself." Samir lunged, but the officers grabbed his arms, twisting them behind his back. He struggled for a second, then sagged as the cuffs clicked closed. "This was all going to be fine," he muttered, almost to himself. "We were going to fix everything. The debts, the house, your sister. You were going to be free. Why couldn't you just let me handle it?" "You call this handling?" I asked, my voice shaking now with delayed rage. "Slowly killing my sister? Planning to throw me off a curve? Stealing my daughter's future for a new life with my best friend?" He winced at the last part. "Don't drag Maya into—" "She's already in it," the inspector said. "We picked her up 2 hours ago. She had quite a collection of interesting compounds in her storeroom, and a very detailed notebook about dosages and tolerances for patients whose relatives had policies. Maybe you can share legal advice through the bars." Samir's shoulders slumped. For the first time, I saw not my husband, not even my enemy, just a small, scared man who had dug himself into a hole and thought burying us in it would save him. "Rhea," he whispered, tears spilling down his face. "Please, tell her. Don't," I said softly. "You lost the right to shape what she thinks of you the moment you tightened the last bolt on this plan. I will tell her the truth. You will tell the judge yours." They led him away. The night swallowed his protests. Javed was shoved into another vehicle, still cursing and sobbing. The road slowly cleared. I stood by the barrier, my legs finally giving way. Arjun reached me in 3 long strides and grabbed my arm before I could fall. "You okay?" he asked, his voice rougher than usual. I let out a shaky laugh, half sob. "I'm alive," I said. "That's more than I thought I'd be at this point." "You did well," he said quietly. "If you had panicked, grabbed the wheel, any of 100 natural reactions, this could have gone very differently. You held the line." "No," I murmured, looking at the barrier inches from where our car had stopped. "You did, and the police, and Rhea that night she grabbed my hand, and Nisha when she trusted her fear over their words." He didn't argue. The inspector walked over, his expression softer now. "You'll need to come to the station tomorrow," he said. "Statement, formalities, all that. It will be long, it will be tiring, but you have more evidence than most people in your position. This won't be easy for them to wiggle out of." "Good," I said simply. He hesitated, then added, "I've seen a lot of cases like this. Most women realize too late, or never. You saw in time. Remember that when the guilt tries to eat you later." I nodded, not trusting my voice. As we drove back to the city in a police jeep, the adrenaline faded, leaving something else in its place. A strange, fragile calm. Samir was behind bars. Maya was too. The fake pills were in police custody. The poison had a name now. So did the guilt. The next few months were a blur of court dates, hospital visits, therapy sessions, and paperwork. Maya tried to deny everything at first. She told the court she had simply trusted a new supplier, that she had been fooled too, that the intimate-sounding recordings were taken out of context, that the money transfers were business investments. Under cross-examination, her story unraveled. Her supplier testified. The lab results showed deliberate compounding. The hidden camera footage from my living room showed her inspecting the swapped pills and angrily calling Samir, discussing backup plans and pushing faster. Even the way she said my name on those recordings, like I was an obstacle, not a person, cut through any sympathy for her. Samir's defense was weaker. He claimed financial desperation. He blamed Maya for pushing the idea. He said he had never truly wanted me dead, only considered extreme options. He cried on the stand. He looked at me often as if searching for some old softness. Sometimes, in the evenings after a long day in court, guilt would whisper in my ear, "You loved him once. You shared a bed, a life, a child. How did you miss the darkness growing in him?" Then I'd look at Nisha, alive, slowly gaining weight, her laughter returning in small bursts. I'd look at Rhea, drawing pictures of our new little rented house with 3 stick figures, her, me, Nisha, standing on a balcony, smiling. And the guilt would shrink. I hadn't missed the darkness. I had just believed the lies they wrapped it in. Money problems, stress, concern, a stronger dose. Love. The court didn't believe those lies. With Arjun's evidence, the hospital's reports, and the police's careful work, the judge found them both guilty of attempted murder, conspiracy, and fraud. They were sentenced to long years in prison. When the sentence was read, Maya turned in the dock and looked at me. For a moment, I saw the girl from my college hostel, the one who had cried on my bunk bed over her first breakup, the one who had given me half of her last packet of biscuits during exams. That girl was gone. What stared at me now was someone who had chosen greed over every bond we'd built. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just stared as if I had betrayed her, as if I had ruined our friendship by refusing to die. I held her gaze. I let her see that I knew exactly what she was. In the end, she looked away first. Samir kept his head down most of the time. He cried when the judge spoke about the impact of his betrayal on his family. He cried when Nisha gave her victim statement, describing the months of pain, the fear of every pill. He cried when I spoke, but he never asked for forgiveness. Maybe somewhere inside, he knew he didn't deserve it. The day they took him away, Ria didn't come to court. I had decided early on that she would not sit in that room, absorbing words like poison and murder attached to her father's name. Later, I told her the truth in pieces, that he had made choices that hurt people, that he had tried to take something that wasn't his to take, that he had to go somewhere to be stopped. She cried. She stopped calling him Papa for a while and only said him. But sometimes, when she woke up from nightmares, she'd still whisper, "Why?" There are some questions no true life story can answer cleanly. In time, she stopped asking that, too. We moved. The old apartment carried echoes of midnight calls and hidden cameras. I sold what I could, used some of the legally reclaimed money and my own salary to rent a modest house in a quieter neighborhood, a place with more sky and fewer dark corners. Nisha's health improved steadily under honest medicine. Her heart function slowly climbed. The toxin levels in her blood dropped. Her hair grew thicker. She started cooking again sometimes, bossing me around in the kitchen like before. One evening, as she stood over the stove stirring a pot, she suddenly started crying. "What is it?" I asked, rushing over. "I didn't think I'd live long enough to complain about how boring this soup is," she laughed through her tears. "Turns out surviving feels ordinary most days. I like it." We laughed together then, the sound shaky but real. Arjun remained in our lives more than I expected. Initially, it was practical. There were always follow-up calls from the police, questions from lawyers, security arrangements to adjust. He helped us navigate them. He never made me feel stupid for not understanding legal terms. He explained each paper before I signed it. He walked with us to the car at night for a while, until the fear faded enough for us to walk alone. Over time, his visits stopped being about the case and started being about life. He'd drop by with a bag of samosas, claiming he was just in the area. He'd help Ria with her science projects, showing her how to wire a tiny bulb without electrocuting herself. He'd sit with Nisha and discuss crime novels, laughing about how much fiction got wrong. We never labeled what he was to us. Protector, friend, something in between. After being betrayed by the two people I trusted most, labels felt dangerous. I learned to value presence instead. People who simply showed up when you needed them. People who didn't demand blind trust but earned it slowly. Months rolled into a year. Ria grew taller. Nisha's medical checkups became less frequent. I went back to work full-time at the school, my sense of routine returning, modified but functional. But there was one thing I avoided: the damn road, the curve where my life had almost ended. That place lived in my nightmares, sometimes as a blur of lights and screeching brakes, sometimes as a silent, quiet drop into nothing. On the 1-year anniversary of that night, I woke up with a heaviness in my chest. All day I was distracted. At lunch, Nisha watched me push food around on my plate. "You're thinking about it," she said softly. "About what?" I lied. She raised an eyebrow. "The place where your husband's plan died and you didn't," she said. I sighed. "Yes." "Go," she said. "What?" "Go there," she repeated. "With someone safe. See it with your own eyes in daylight. Right now it's a monster in your mind. You're ready to shrink it." "I don't know if I am," I admitted. "You are," she said firmly. "Remember when you made me go back to the hospital corridor where Dad died? You said we had to make new memories there so the old ones didn't own us. This is the same." I smiled at the memory. I had said that once. before poison and policies and tricks on highways. You're cruel, I told her. I learned from the best, she replied. So that afternoon, I called Arjun. Busy? I asked. Depends, he said. Is this about a case or about coffee? Neither, I said. I need a ride. To where? The dam. There was a pause. Give me 20 minutes, he said. We rode on his motorcycle this time. No car, no loosened bolts. Just open air and the growl of the engine under us. I held on to the sides at first, refusing to wrap my arms around him. Pride, distance, habit. As the city thinned and the road opened, a truck cut in a little too close. Reflex made me grab him around the waist. He chuckled softly, but said nothing. When we reached the curve, he slowed and pulled over onto the narrow shoulder. I climbed off, legs a little shaky, and walked to the barrier. It was just metal and concrete, scratched, weathered, ordinary. The valley beyond was deep, green, dotted with rocks and trees. The dam stood steady in the distance, holding back a vast body of water older and bigger than my story. I rested my hands on the barrier. The metal was warm from the sun. For months, I saw this place every time I closed my eyes, I said quietly. Now it just looks like a road. That's what it is, Arjun said, standing a little behind me. A road. Your husband and Maya turned it into a weapon in their heads. But the road didn't pick sides. It just sat here. I thought about that. We assign meaning to places, I murmured. Like pills. Like people. Sometimes we assign too much, he replied. Enough that we ignore what they're really doing to us. A car passed, its headlights briefly flashing across us. I didn't flinch. Progress. Do you regret not knowing earlier? He asked after a moment. Yes, I said honestly. Part of me hates that I slept next to a man planning my death, that I laughed with a friend who measured out poison, that I missed signs, that my daughter had to be the one to see the monster before I did. And the other part, he asked? The other part knows that if I hadn't listened when I finally did, I'd be dead, I said. I can't change how late I woke up. I can only be grateful I woke up at all. The wind tugged gently at my hair. Below, a bird rode a current of air out over the valley. I used to believe good people don't see evil clearly because they're naive, I said slowly. Now I think it's because we keep giving chances, excuses, time. We romanticize suffering. We tell ourselves love can fix anything. We forget love isn't supposed to kill us. And now, he asked? Now I know love can be protective too, I said. Love is my daughter's small hand stopping a pill, my sister hiring a stranger to watch my husband, a grumpy investigator crashing his bike against my car at the right second, my own anger finally choosing me. I turned to face him. If I ever start ignoring my gut again, I said, remind me of this barrier. I won't need to, he replied. You're not the same woman who picked up that pill bottle 10 months ago. She's gone. Who am I then? I asked, half smiling. Someone who looked at the people she loved most and chose truth over comfort, he said. That's rare. Don't underestimate it. We stood there for a while in comfortable silence. I let the curve settle into my memory as just another place on Earth. Not a monster's den. Not a shrine. Just a road I had survived. If you're still listening to me right now, somewhere with your phone in your hand and your heart beating too fast, I want to tell you something before we end. You might not have fake pills in your kitchen. You might not have a damn road in your future. Your story might not look exactly like mine. But maybe you have a friend whose words don't match her eyes anymore. A husband whose temper suddenly turns when money is mentioned. A child who says, something feels wrong, and you're tempted to laugh it away because you don't want it to be true. Please don't. I almost died because I believed paperwork more than symptoms, smiles more than patterns, love more than evidence. I survived because finally I didn't, because I listened to a frightened little girl who refused to let her aunt swallow one more pill, because I checked what I'd been told not to question, because I turned my fear into a plan. If my story made your chest tight, if it reminded you of someone you know, don't ignore that feeling. Ask the awkward questions, check the labels, Read the fine print. Look at who benefits from your blind trust. And if you think more people need to hear how greed and fake love can hide in something as small as a pill bottle, don't keep this to yourself. Share this story with someone who trusts too easily. Tell me in the comments what part of my journey hit you the hardest, or what your instinct has been whispering to you lately. And if you want to stay close to more real stories like mine, stories of betrayal, survival, and women who learn to fight back, make sure you tap subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. You're not crazy. You're not dramatic. You're not disloyal for wanting to live. You're just awake. Stay that way.